everything you know about Home Alone is a lie. This is not a kid's movie. Home Alone is a time-traveling, dark origin story about something much more evil. In this video, I'll explain everything that you missed as a kid, like this. A simple scene about drinks being spilt when they're having pizza. Now let's go back. His dad just picked up Kevin's plane tickets and binned it under everybody's nose. This meant that when the tickets were checked at the airport, there is no extra one left behind, so no one notices Kevin's absence. But why did he do this, and what was his motive? Spoiler alert, what you will learn by the end of this video may ruin your childhood. The movie starts with this bratty little shit being all like, "Mommy, Uncle's trying to touch me again, blah blah blah," and the mummy's talking to her degenerate boyfriend and is like, "Kevin, for fuck's sake, you're really starting to piss me off, you little dweeb." The dad walks in and is like, "Has anyone seen my pube shaver? I want to make a Christmas tree with my man-dingaling for the French prozzies that I'll be paying on holiday." The mum's like, "Christmas tree's too complicated to pull off, besides
you don't have the technology or the steady hands to pull off a procedure like that, so ha!"
Then the little dweeb says that he wants to get married and live alone. I guess he knows that divorce rates are 50%, so he's banking on that. We also have a police officer being ignored downstairs. This isn't a real police officer in the US, because if it was, these kids would be getting tased left, right and center. America, yeah. Instead, it looks like the Goodfellas guy is just casing the place out. Buzz Lightyear, the bully, then tells them about the mysterious old man Marley next door, who is actually a serial killer. This part is true and we'll cover that in detail later, but this old fart has another secret. If you look very closely, you'll notice that he has an uncanny resemblance to, yes, you guessed it, the Home Alone kid. Look at this, and what about this? Just coincidental resemblances or something much darker? Now, thanks to time, we can find out what the middle piece of this Home Alone kid is like. And this kid looks like a disheveled man. The resemblance and transformation is uncanny. The old man is Kevin from the future. How? Why? When? You have so many questions that I couldn't give a crap about. But let's start with why. He has come back to set something right, something that happened on this night. And so how did he go back in time? Well, how the frick am I supposed to know? I'm not the scriptwriter. I'm just some dude who's trying to tell you how the movie's supposed to be interpreted, alright? This is all legit shit. Listen up now. We then have a very telling scene where the dad pubes approaches the policeman and has a totally normal interaction.
Am I under arrest or something?
No.
What the hell is wrong with this scene? If I saw the popo in my house, I'd be like, shit, who died? Or I'd be like, yo, I got glaucoma, those plants are for medicinal use only, okay? Chill. But no, this guy's all like, you gonna arrest me, police officer? Wink, wink. You see, here's revelation number 2. This pesky guy has been hired by the dad and the uncle. He knows exactly what's going on, and Pesky's here to case the house out. But for what reason? And why would he hire a criminal? The next scene further confirms his motive. You see, the Home Alone kid has a fight with his older brother about pizza toppings. He's all like, pineapples on pizza taste like ass, and his brother's like, I like the taste of ass. And so while they fight, here's a sneaky part. The dad uses the opportunity to swipe his plane tickets, bin them right before his eyes. But Mr. Krabby movie fans, why did he do that? Maybe because you touch yourself at night, okay? Or maybe it's something much more sinister. As a kid watching Home Alone was like, oh wow, when I'm an adult, I'm gonna have a big house like this and go on long vacations. Now watching Home Alone as an adult, I can't help but think, how the fuck did this guy support his family and his lavish lifestyle? Like, who's paying his energy bills during this Christmas period and all those freaking lights on? That's gotta be at least $1,000 a month. How the hell does he afford a house like that with so many bloody mouths to feed? And the answer is pretty simple. He's a mobster, a mafioso, Tony Soprano. The way he greets Pesky with, you gonna arrest me? His blatant disregard for his children. But why would he want Kevin left behind? And why hire some goons to do a hit job on his house? And how does this tie into the time-traveling Kevin from the future? Why would he come back to change the events of this night? Firstly, after Kevin gets the full death stare from his whole family, his uncle calls him a jerk. That's an 8-year-old kid being called a jerk by his uncle. All in all, everyone's extremely hostile to him. Sure, he's a little shit, but which 8-year-old isn't? His mum then banishes him to the attic, and this is why he's back from the future, to prevent being banished to the attic. And so I'll introduce you to 2 timelines. One is the original timeline. Kevin wakes up and notices his parents have gone, goes on to enjoy his time until he's startled by the wet bandits, at which point he hides in the attic with snacks for the entire few days until his parents return. The second timeline, affected by Kevin traveling back in time as the old shovel man, this is what you see in the movie. He challenges his younger self to overcome his fears and eventually battle for his home with the bandits. But who does he become, and what are the consequences of all of that time in the attic? Let's tackle the former question first. The traps he ensnares his victims, the planning, the execution, the delight he shows, all point to someone with sociopathic tendencies. He also has voyeuristic tendencies to watch his victims suffer, the sheer enjoyment on his face of the punishment he's dishing out to these guys. And so growing up in a mobster family where he has been undoubtedly exposed to people being killed, perhaps even tortured, he's not your normal 8-year-old kid. And add to the mixture the emotional abuse from every family member, the constant neglect, the abandonment over multiple occasions, you begin to form the psyche of a killer. Now let's look at some of the traps he set. Looking back, I'm not sure how I ever thought an 8-year-old kid would come up with these. The lever device to set off the blowtorch, knowing that metal objects conduct heat and using that to heat up the doorknob and sizzling somebody's fingers. The use of a fake light string to actually pull down an iron from the first floor, disguised beautifully. The use of sharp objects like a nail to maim his victims, a trademark that older Kevin uses multiple times. All in all, these aren't the work of an 8-year-old kid. Someone more sinister and sociopathic was at work to help him. Now let's look at the basement. The mannequins, which are undoubtedly used as stand-in humans for his trap practice, the odd clown face which later inspires his iconic Muppet, the furnace which later inspires his trap design as he grows older and becomes more confident. So now let's look at all the clues. You have a sociopathic 8-year-old who has undoubtedly been mistreated. Abandoned by his family multiple times, he has grown to hate his family and turn more and more to dark torture and sadistic fantasies of harming others, which allows itself to come to fruition when the wet bandits attack his home. Kevin grows up to be Jigsaw, the serial killer from the Saw movies. Most of Kevin's home defense devices are triggered by the victim, just like Jigsaw's traps are. And from the very beginning, Jigsaw has been using fire to harm his victims. His iconic line, "Let's play a game," stems from his experience that night. He could easily have scared the bandits, but he decided to play a game with them, a game in which he didn't just kill the victims, but mortally wounded them and made them suffer more and more, each time by their own actions. And this is the serial killer Jigsaw's calling card and his first early experience in entrapping his victims. And if you look into his history, you'll find that he became a successful civil engineer. He initially was dedicated to property development for low-income families under the motto, "Four walls build a home." His childhood experience taught him a lavish home full of people that hate you is not really a home. But it is after his terminal diagnosis of cancer and a failed attempt to end his life that he decided to teach others the value of the things they have, especially people like his family who had everything but took it for granted, and in fact were horrible people to each other. And so the real story of Home Alone becomes clear. Behind the facade of the feel-good Christmas family film, we have a story of neglect, the dark rise of a serial killer. He lives in a family of mobsters where regular brutality is witnessed at his home, like the pizza guy going to the back when he hears someone getting murdered, doesn't even call the police. In this environment, young Kevin's psyche is forged, but Kevin was always too much of a brat, had everything. His uncle and father never thought he'd grow up strong enough to be able to take on the family business. Not man enough. So they decided to toughen him up. The way their lives saw hardship on the streets, they planned to leave him behind and get some goons to rob their house, to play a sort of game with him. But one thing is for sure, in the original timeline, Kevin retreats to the attic, spends all of his time hiding out, grows up, and due to all his childhood psychological damage, becomes Jigsaw, a serial killer that eventually gets colon cancer and brain cancer. And when he researches the cause of this, there is one risk factor that stands out: asbestos. It takes him back to those few days where he stayed in his attic laced with asbestos insulation, breathing, rolling, playing in all of it. And so with his last ever great construction, he created something grand, something never built before. And so he was Marley, but he couldn't just kick the habit of serial killing. It's not something you can just turn on and off. But he has one aim now: to challenge himself and equip himself with everything he needs to fight those bandits and not run away to the attic. And so he initially scares his younger self, then talks about the importance of facing your fears. With the help of actors playing his new son and new granddaughter, he's able to incept the idea of the importance of family and home. He is even behind the traps he sets for the bandits. Look at this drawing. An 8-year-old hasn't made this. And what about these initials? It's Marley, his hand-drawn Kevin, all of the ideas idea is to hurt the bandits, enough not to kill them, but by doing so, Kevin is able to defend his home and not retreating to the attic and is not exposed to the asbestos. And so in the new timeline, Jigsaw will not die of colon cancer and brain metastases, but he's also very aware of the things that made him who he is. He doesn't want his younger Kevin to follow a different path. He wants him to be exposed to all the same disappointments that made him Jigsaw, the disappointment of his family abandoning him repeatedly, his father and uncle playing sick games with him, only this time he is far more equipped. He has taught himself all of the skills to start his own games at a younger age. And so if you thought Home Alone was a children's movie, you were very wrong. This is the ultimate origin story of a dark villain. If others don't know about it, then feel free to share this with them. Follow for more weekly movie analysis like this, and Happy New Year, you filthy animals.